The following is a special presentation of the Good Life TV network.
And you'll meet Stephanie Martin, whose 28-year-old husband Robbie was diagnosed with a vicious brain tumor.
Once we started treatment, we never looked back. We just lived like we always had tomorrow.
Stephanie and Robbie endured their battle with unyielding courage. Their story has inspired many others to keep fighting. Today on American Family. Welcome to American Family, where families share with you the real stories of how they faced major crises and overcame them. I'm your host, Dr. Bettina Gregory, and we want you to know there is hope, there are solutions, and you can find them. Often a diagnosis of cancer comes like a bolt out of the blue. It certainly did for Robbie Martin. He was 28 years old, newly married. In fact, he and his wife Stephanie were just settling into their new home when Robbie was diagnosed with a very serious brain tumor in 1998.
My very first thought in the hospital was, oh my God, we've been married 1 year and I'm going to lose him. What am I going to do without my husband? We haven't had time to have a life and have children. With all our family and our friends, I mean, we were inundated with just an outpouring of love from everybody and prayer. And I tell you what, we just got a peace about it. And once we started treatment, we never looked back. We just lived like we always had tomorrow. You know, we always did. We never thought about Robbie dying, not after that first week.
If you knew Robbie was not going to let something like that keep him down. They just knew that he was going to be cured. There was no question in their mind. If they were so strong, why couldn't we be strong for them, you know? I mean, they were so positive. We couldn't all sit around and cry when they weren't.
After Robbie's first diagnosis, he did really well. During the chemo, he tolerated it very well. The radiation made him really tired. I'd want to take care of him and slow him down a little bit, and he would just look at me and say, I love you, but I'm not letting this cancer change my life. And he didn't.
You have the power to set your own standard, and Stephanie and Robbie set the bar for everybody. Robbie would go to cancer meetings and come back and go, you know, this is not right. People are complaining and people are whining, and I'm not going to go back because I don't have time to complain and I don't have time to whine. I got things to do. He inspired us tremendously.
Prayer was a huge part of it. We had people putting Robbie's name on prayer chains all over the country and all over the world. There was a prayer vigil in St. Martin that was held by somebody that we didn't even know. People were lighting candles in California. People all over the country were praying, sending emails from people we never even had talked to. We were getting letters and cards and phone calls. It was just out of this world. And that did so much for Robbie's attitude and so much for mine. When Robbie was diagnosed with a clean bill of health, I can't even tell you how ecstatic we were about that. We just decided that we were going to live every day like it was the only day we had. We traveled, and then we had our baby, and we spent a lot of time with our family and our friends, and we just did everything that we ever wanted to do.
Joining us now in American Family is Stephanie Martin. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about Robbie's attitude about living with cancer once he had the diagnosis and how he treated that.
Robbie never lived like he had cancer. We talked about it a lot, and I would ask him, you know, how are you feeling? Because I knew how I was feeling. Worried about him, worried about what tomorrow held. And he would say, I'm fine. I'm not going to worry about it. Whatever God wants for me is what I'll live with, and that'll be fine. I mean, he was so positive all the time, and we had a really good experience in the beginning. He was diagnosed, and he immediately qualified for a clinical drug test. We got connected with an incredible oncologist and nurse practitioner team, and they worked with Robbie for 4 months, and then 33 radiation treatments later, he was cancer-free.
So he did recover?
He did recover, yeah. He was incredible. It was a great experience.
In the piece, we heard that he inspired people because he said, look, I'm just not going to let this get me down. I'm going to, I've got things to do. I'm not going to whine about it.
Yeah, and his chemo treatments, he would take the chemo for a week at home, and a week at a time, and he was never sick, and he was a little tired, but after that week was over, he was ready to go back to work. So Robbie actually couldn't drive for a year because when you have seizures in our state, you can't drive for a year. So I drove him to work every day for a year, and he went every day, and he never complained. He didn't want to stay home and be sick and take advantage of that. He was busy, too many things to do.
Tell me about the attitude of your family and your friends in helping you through this.
Oh, they were everything. I tell you what. Our family, we really followed Robbie's lead most of the time. I mean, if he was up, then we were up. And if he was not so up, then we tried to bring him back up. I mean, I can't tell you how many people just surrounded us during that time. The day Robbie was diagnosed, there were 30 people in the waiting room waiting to hear what the doctor said. And so I had to rush outside and tell everybody what was going on, and everybody's crying and upset. And Robbie's just like, it's fine. We'll deal with it.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Just amazing. Well, 3 years after his full recovery, Robbie Martin would have to fight for his life once again when we come back.
The hardest part of dealing with cancer is just watching what it does to the person you love most in the world. Robbie told me once that he was so glad that he had cancer that I didn't, because if I had it, he couldn't watch it. But if he had it, then he could accept it. And I totally understand that, because I used to think to myself, as much nobody wants cancer, but to switch places with him, I would have done that.
I'm talking with Stephanie Martin, whose husband was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Stephanie, did you really mean what you said, that you would have taken Robbie's place?
Most definitely. I loved Robbie more than anything in this world. And if I would have had cancer, he would have said the same thing to me. My husband was fearless and faithful, if nothing else, and I would have done anything for him.
Well, it's so wonderful to have such a great example of the true meaning of marriage, of being of one body. That's certainly true love. Mm. Well, things took a turn for the worse last summer. Not only did Robbie's cancer come back, it had spread throughout most of his brain. They tried everything with no success. As a last-ditch effort, Robbie agreed to undergo a major operation.
He had surgery September 11th where they removed his right frontal lobe, and he was so good and so happy and positive after that happened. And he just told me, he said, Stephanie, whatever happens to me is God's will. And I'm okay with that. I've lived 33 wonderful years. I have a wife that I love, a daughter that is my world, and whenever the Lord chooses to take me, I'm ready to go. It's okay.
I can remember going in to see Robbie right after surgery and him sitting in the bed with his head bandaged and just joking and laughing and asking me how I was doing and why I was there. And it was just one of those moments when you realize that these were people of incredible faith and incredible hope, and they refused to allow this disease to rob them of the joy of life, even in those moments. Robbie was upbeat and positive about the future.
He seemed really good after the surgery. We were really happy and thinking it was going to be the cure. I knew he had a lot of chemo, but I don't think they knew how bad it was going to get with the chemo, because it really was going to make him sick.
He got really weak. He got really sick. After he'd take his chemo, he would just have violent sessions of vomiting and horrible, horrible headaches. But he never complained. He would just say, it hurts and it'll go away. I mean, he would just sit here on the couch and deal with it. It broke my heart.
He did not want anybody to feel like they had to take care of him. That was his number one thing, is he wanted to be self-reliant, and he didn't want Stephanie to be fearful. It was very scary, I think, for everybody around him. Even though we were, Stephanie was the pillar of strength, we still were all really scared for Robbie.
The day Robbie died, I had no idea that this was going to be his last day. When they did a CT scan and came back and they said, it's bad. We've got to transfer him, we've got to intubate him. It's bad. They don't think there's anything they can do. I was blown away, just completely shocked. I talked to him for the whole hour before he died and just said, if you see Jesus in front of you and he's reaching his hand out, you need to take it, because if you stay here, you'll just be sick and you'll be miserable, and you need to go home. And that's what I wanted for him. So when he died, I just praised God that I knew where he was and that I'd be with him again.
Stephanie, do you believe he's at peace now?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. He's gotten his reward.
Tell me about his funeral. Tell me what you learned from some of the people who spoke.
Wow. Well, I spoke, both our moms, both our dads, both our brothers, a lot of friends. But the thing that really touched me was the last person that got up. I didn't know him. And I kept saying, who is that? And it was a man that went to our church and played on the softball team with Robbie, and he had a terminal diagnosis, cancer also. And he was a military man, very disciplined, and he spoke and he said, you know, I had a less than stellar attitude about my illness, but being with Robbie and watching him laugh in the face of his disease changed my life. And I was so proud at that moment to be Mrs. Robbie Martin, because my husband made such a difference to so many people.
And how wonderful to learn this even after his death. Yeah. His legacy was passed on about his attitude towards cancer and trying to make it as easy as possible for you, yeah, for your daughter, and for everyone else around him. Really, that must have been an incredible effort when he was so ill.
Oh, it was. He never wanted to be a burden, never wanted to be taken care of. I, of course, tried to baby him and do things for him, and he would say, stop. You know, I love you, but stop. It's fine. It's okay. And we did all the same things that we did before he was sick.
Well, Robbie's death has caused Stephanie to change her life. She has decided to devote her time and energy to helping others who are struggling with brain tumors.
Living with Robbie with cancer has definitely changed my life completely. It's made me realize that every day is so incredibly valuable and that you can't take with you the things that you have on this earth. And so you really need to focus on the things that are eternal and the difference that you can make every single day to somebody else.
I think if anyone knows Stephanie, she's always been pretty passive and so kind, do anything for anyone. I think she got really mad. And I know we had a conversation a couple weeks ago that we were talking about it, and she was just really angry, and she said, I'm not angry at God, I'm not angry at anything, I'm angry at the cancer. And I think it made her want to just absolutely do whatever she could to help find a cure.
I'm making a lot of changes in my life. I want to be a nurse. I want to work in neuro-oncology with brain tumor patients and help people like Robbie and maybe encourage them by sharing his story. And I'm also starting a foundation. We've called it the Robbie Martin Foundation of Grace. It's something that Robbie knew about before he passed away. He was very excited about, and just because he's gone, that dream is not gone. The Robbie Martin Foundation of Grace is going to fund brain tumor research and also support individual families with brain tumors. When I think about telling Gracie about her daddy, the first thing that comes to my mind is that she was his whole world and that he loved her like nobody else will ever love her. That he fought so hard to stay here for her and that he fought to show other people that life is worth living. I'm just going to explain to her about cancer and how it is something that affects so many people in this country. But the important thing to remember is that you can always fight and you never should give up. I just want her to know that he loved her and that he loved me, and he would have never left us if he had a choice. And he fought so hard, and he was somebody that she can be proud of forever.
Stephanie, that's a wonderful legacy that Robbie has left.
He has.
But I want to talk to you a little bit about what your friend Jessica said in that piece. She said you got angry at the cancer. Tell me about that anger.
I felt an emotion that I couldn't describe with words. And anger was the closest thing that it felt like. And I knew I wasn't mad at God. God has His plan for everybody. And who am I to question that? And I wasn't mad at the doctors or at Robi, but I was mad because that cancer took my husband away from me. And I wanted to lash out, or I wanted to do something. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to fight in a positive way.
Tell me about the ways you're doing that.
Well, I'm doing a few things. Before Robi passed away, we had talked about the idea of starting an organization that would allow us to share our blessings and resources that we had with other people that maybe didn't have those. So right after he passed, I got with our family and our friends, and we started the Robi Martin Foundation of Grace. I wanted to incorporate Robi's name and Gracie's name, and GRACE is an acronym. It stands for God Can Reveal, a Cure, and Eliminate Brain Tumors. So we're going to do just what he wanted to do. We're going to raise money for brain tumor research. We've started a fund in his name through MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, Texas, where his doctors are. And we're also going to support individual families. Our first event is a 5K run in May. We're expecting.
And you're a runner.
Yeah.
Are you going to run in it?
No, actually, I'm going to be a little busy planning it.
The sponsor, okay.
But we're expecting about 1,500 people, and we're going to replenish our brain tumor research fund, and we're sponsoring 2 local families that have brain tumors. So.
And you're going to become a nurse?
I am. Big decision, huge life change for me, but it's something that I really want to do. I want to be part of the solution. I want to be a person that can offer answers to people. I mean, nobody could offer us any answers, and I want to be that. I've researched for 5 years about brain tumors and lived with it, and I want to be able to share that and let people know that there is good in even the worst situations.
Stephanie, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story. I deeply admire your courage, your commitment, the way you're transcending Robi's loss and carrying on his legacy in a very positive way. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Barrett Browning's famous poem, How Do I Love Thee, concludes, I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. Those words were written long ago, but Stephanie, they certainly describe you.
Thank you.
We'll be back. Welcome back. If you or someone you love is battling cancer, here are some resources to get you started on finding help. Stephanie Martin's organization can be found at fightbraintumors.org. First, you cry. That's okay when you're told you have cancer, but there is absolutely no point in dwelling on the question, why me? There's no good answer to it, and you'll just waste time and energy trying to find one. You're going to need every ounce of strength you've got to come up with a battle plan to beat cancer. The first thing you've got to deal with is the fear that having cancer is an automatic death sentence. It's not. The statistics show the survival rates are improving all the time. Vicki Gerard showed us even when some doctors advise you to get ready to die, they could be wrong. They were in Vicki's case. Be a survivor. Survivors like Vicki work at it. They know taking command of their situation is absolutely essential to getting well. And there are people who have overcome every form of cancer, even the so-called hopeless cases. The most important person on your medical team is you. All too often, cancer patients surrender the leadership role to their doctors. Well, it's your body, your health, and your life. Dr. Bernie Siegel, himself a well-known cancer survivor, believes the more you take charge and lead the fight against cancer with courage and optimism, the better your chances for cure and survival. I, too, believe there's a strong link between mind and body, between a person's spirit and their health. Understand conventional treatments, but if they don't work, think outside the box. Try unconventional treatments. But whatever you choose, own your treatment program. Improve your diet and nutrition. You've got to take better care of yourself than you ever have before. You will need allies in this war. Invest time and energy in relationships that nurture you. Leave the toxic ones behind. Your real triumph over cancer will be your spiritual growth. After she beat breast cancer, singer Olivia Newton-John said she saw her cancer as a gift. "I know it sounds strange," she commented, "but I don't think I would have grown in the areas that I did without that experience." Thanks for joining us. Remember, there is hope, there are solutions, and you can find them. I'm Dr. Bettina Gregory.